Well, hello, glorious people of the interwebs, and welcome back to Red Dead Online. I hope you're all having a wonderful day, and today we're finally going to be reviewing the Navy Revolvers, as well as the ultimate Gunslinger build. Now, regardless of what weapons you end up using at the end of this video, this Gunslinger ability loadout will really help you be that ultimate gunslinger that you've always wanted to be. Now, I do want to say before we get into the actual build and the review of the Navy Revolvers, that personal playstyle does play a big part in Red Dead Online, and definitely make sure to tailor this ability loadout and the differences that I show in it to your own personal playstyle to make it that much better. Now, we're going to get into the review of the Navy Revolvers first, and we're going to go into a little bit of how the game actually works, and then into the ability loadout. Now, the reason it's taking me so long to review the Navy Revolvers is because, for those of you that don't know, your character actually has a familiarity or experience with weapons that is leveled up the more you use a particular weapon. So those of you out there who have been using like one weapon for a very long time, and then you go and switch to another weapon and you think it's complete garbage right off the bat, maybe the weapon is actually complete garbage, or it also could be the fact that you do not have your character's experience with that particular weapon leveled up. And this goes into a various of different things that is kind of changed over time as your character's experience with that weapon evolves over time. The reload speed with the weapons is faster, and your accuracy improves as well. So when you aim your weapon, there is this little reticle that shows up, and that shrinks down into the main reticle, and that is when you're going to have the weapon's utmost accuracy, is when that little reticle disappears. Excuse me, sir, are you going to try and steal my horse? Okay, and back into the bushes they go. Gotta love Red Dead Online. But yeah, so that little reticle right there, when you are leveled up with your experience with a weapon, that will shrink faster, thus making the weapon far more accurate, and it's gonna feel really, really good when you have that level of experience with the weapon versus just trying out a new weapon right off the bat. So that's why it's taken me so long to review the Navy Revolver, because if I'm really going to compare it to my previous mainstays, which were the semi-automatics or the Mausers, I really needed to level up my character's experience with that particular weapon. Now, I do have to say that the Navy Revolvers are probably going to be my mainstay dual-wielding weapons. Previously, it was the semi-automatics or the Mausers, and we're going to go over a little bit why right now before I get into the full review of the Navy Revolvers, because it is important that you understand why I really do like these new weapons. Now, the real benefit of the semi-automatics is their fast fire rate and incredibly high accuracy and reload speed. Now, the reload speed is absolutely phenomenal because you can actually... I don't want to accidentally shoot this person. There's a lot of people around Valentine's today. Good lord. The benefit of the semi-automatics with their reload speed is you can actually reload them and start shooting again faster and more accurately than switching weapons. For those of you that don't know, when you switch weapons or when you draw a weapon for the first time, you always have to cock it. Now, this varmint rifle here, the nice thing about a varmint rifle is it's got the fastest bloom in the game, so very, very high accuracy. So that's going to be the weapon I need to switch to if I really need to. But whenever you switch weapons, you're always going to have to prep it first. And now the bolt action in particular, and like the Lancaster, has a very high prep time. And it's going to get you killed very often if you're switching to a bolt action. When you're using the semi-automatics, that is. Because the semi-automatics are a breed of their own as far as reload speed goes. And that's why I love them, because you could take out an entire posse and reload in between, and it's just so good. Now, the upside of the Navy Revolvers is they have better accuracy and damage. Now, the accuracy doesn't seem like it's a major boost for the offset of reload speed and fire rate, and I could argue definitely that it might not be, but the damage is also much improved as well. And that is really where the Navy Revolvers shine. They are definitely a slower fire rate weapon than the semi-automatics, but they do much more damage. So with the semi-automatics, it's going to take 3 shots to kill an NPC. I really don't want to look at my weapon right now, game. I would much rather switch weapons like I was trying to. Thank you very much. You can see that the fire rate much lower, but not substantially so like some of the other dual-wielding weapons. The fire rate on these is still very good, especially for the amount of damage that they put out. Now you can see the reload speed is definitely longer. These are weapons that you may want to consider actually switching weapons on. But the nice thing about the Navy revolvers is you can stop the reload in between, so we can reload a bullet or two, and we're actually out of ammunition. So anyways, you can actually stop the reload, so you don't have to do the full reload, which is really nice. You can shoot once and then start reloading and reload that one bullet. See if we can do it here. Well, we can reload like one in each and then start shooting again. That'll slow your reload speed a little bit. So in a clutch, you can reload like one bullet into there and just keep going like that, which makes it really nice for killing large numbers of people. So if you can like dodge and weave in between cover and just reload one or two bullets in between, you can really just do a number on a large group of people very quickly. And that's what I love about these particular weapons. As you can see, we're doing a lot of shooting, but we're not really emptying out the mag complete, or the cylinder completely, which is really nice. And that's kind of how you're going to use these weapons. You don't want to fully empty them out. You want to kind of fire and then reload as you're going, and you're going to stand a much better chance. Now, the nice thing about these particular weapons is you can kill players in so you can kill players in 2 to 3 shots. You're going to get a knockdown at 2 shots, which is basically the equivalent of killing them. Their posse can revive them, but you can at least get the knockdown in 2 shots and a kill in 3. With a dual-wield weapon, that is very, very good, especially with the high accuracy, range, and reload speed on this. It is very good. You can one-shot NPCs with the build we're going to be going over. A lot of times it's going to be 2 shots, though, because you're not always going to have the perfect cleanliness that you're going to need for the one-shot on NPCs. And then, obviously, getting headshots with these is absolutely phenomenal. Like, especially with the range and accuracy on these things, headshots are a freaking joke. You're going to be getting headshots literally all the time. It's absolutely absurd. But I do hope that kind of gave you some information on why I'm really loving the Navy revolvers right now. They're absolutely phenomenal in PvP. But now let's go ahead and get into the ability loadout and some changes that you can do depending on your personal playstyle. Now, I really like having... This is like a perfectly balanced build that we have right here. We've got slow and steady at level 3, which is really nice. So it's going to reduce quite a bit of damage, but the best part of slow and steady is when you have this activated, you are not going to get one-shot headshot. And in a game where headshots rule, eliminating the headshots from the competition is a massive advantage. When you couple slow and steady with a tier 2 tonic, it's going to take multiple people at the same time shooting you to actually kill you. It is so overpowered, and it's just absolutely necessary in a PvP build, at least in my opinion. And you can see when I play PvP that I'm running this and I can take out an entire team all by myself. It's absurd. Then we've got Gunslinger's Choice. While dual wielding with ranged weapons, you deal much more damage and are much more accurate, which, coupled with the Navy revolver's high damage and already almost maxed out accuracy, Gunslinger's Choice is amazing. Now we have 2 passive abilities here that kind of stack on top of each other. We've got Iron Lung, so your stamina regenerates faster and you take less damage depending on your current stamina level, and much less damage depending on your current stamina level. Then we got Peak Condition, where sprinting uses less stamina and you deal much more damage depending on your current stamina level. So these work at pretty much keeping your stamina maxed out at all times, so you're getting the max benefit of defense and max benefit of stamina level. These two work really, really well together, and it just makes this build really balanced the way it is between damage and defense. Now, there's a couple things that you can change out. A lot of people really love Paint It Black, and I gotta say, Paint It Black shotguns is still just incredibly powerful in PvP, and I highly recommend it. But if you really want that gunslinger feel, you can also use Paint It Black, but I really like the defensive slow and steady. Paint It Black in some situations can be really great in PvE and as well in PvP, depending on what you're doing. But the other things that I recommend maybe swapping out for is you can maybe swap out some more of the defense for some more offense. So you could go ahead and use something like the short game, where you deal much more damage to targets closer to you, but less damage to targets farther away. And really with the Navy revolvers, when you're trying to kill somebody far away, you're just going for headshots. And I'm going to tell you right now, you can snipe people with the Navy revolver and the headshots, and it's surprisingly effective. So the short game really doesn't hurt it too much. And then when they get close to you, you're just absolutely devastating them. It's kind of absurd. A lot of people really like to use winning streak, but since the Navy revolver kills in 2 shots anyways, you're really not getting that much of a benefit from winning streak as you would if you were getting more shots off. So I'm not really a big fan of that particular card anymore. Now, if you're going for wanting to be able to be in slow and steady for a longer period of time, you could go for something like Eye for an Eye, where killing an enemy with a headshot restores a little bit of Deadeye. Or you could go for health regeneration with Strange Medicine, where you regain a lot of health whenever you inflict damage. You can even use this to shoot like horses or something like that to regenerate damage while you're in cover, or even animals if they're around. So when you're in a PvP situation and you want to recover health, you can be shooting other things around you and regenerating health that way. Or if you want another ability to regenerate Deadeye, you can use Kick in the Butt, and whenever you take damage, a large portion of it is added to your Deadeye. So that is another good one to use with this particular build. There's a lot of different ways you can play this out, and there's a lot of different weapons that can be used with the Gunslinger build. You definitely do not need to just use the Navy revolvers if you want to run this particular situation. Really, any dual wielding is going to work, but I am quite fond. I would say if I had to class out the revolvers, I would put the Navy revolvers, the semi-automatics, and the Mausers and the S-class tier, and then pretty much everything else below that in one way or another. A lot of people really like the volcanics and stuff like that because of the high damage, but quite frankly, the reload speed, accuracy, and all that stuff is... the fall off there is not worth the gain in damage, especially when you're already two-shotting people with the Navy revolvers, and you can still only two-shot people with the volcanic pistols. So I do hope you guys enjoyed this. I know it's not thrilling or anything like that, but I hope it gave you some good information, and especially for some new players out there, there's probably a lot of stuff in here that you didn't know about. So make sure to slap that like button if you found the video helpful, and I will see you all in the next one.